Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to CRL. After a week's absence, we are here at the Singapore Grand Prix. Yes, Marina Circuit. Marina-based circuit. I don't know which one it was. Sorry, I know one of them's Abu Dhabi, one of them's Singapore. But we are here tonight, and it's just me tonight. So, yeah, hopefully I'll take you through the action of 18 minutes of qualifying, which is wet, by the way, just like the British weather, as it has been recently. And one of the cars are coming out on the track with them. We'll see some action then, as they're all on the intermediate tyres, lightweight conditions. I think it's rained once at the Singapore Grand Prix. That was back in 2017, but other than that, it was dry, relatively dry after a few laps. We did see, I think it was Danny Kvyat who hit the wall down at turn number 6 there in the wet conditions in 2017. But other than that, I don't think we've ever encountered a full race or a full a full wet quali. So there we go then for CRL. I don't know if it rained last season. I think it was dry in the race in CRL. I think it was a wet qualifying session. Maybe it may have been the other way around, but I'm not quite sure. But rain is appearing. I think it was raining as well back in the Tier 2 stream. You see Reservoir then taking the very outside line there. Don't want to be doing that because you will invalidate your lap. But look at that, and he's sliding all over the show. But it's going to be very interesting because if it is a dry rain, oh, he's very close to the wall there. Reservoir really not enjoying these conditions on his outlap. He's going to be really careful because it is a punishing track here around Singapore. It's difficult enough in the dry, but that is so close to the wall from Reservoir. They're going to be very careful. And last time out was the Canadian GP. It was a very eventful race indeed. We had the wet conditions hit the circuit, and two people unfortunately got caught out, which was Superbug and Nathan, as they were the two leaders leading the Grand Prix. And we're just going to go on board with somebody else further up the road. I think it's an Alfa Romeo, that's Renz. So he's the first man to start a lap time around here in Singapore, entering turn 21. Oh, look at that. You can see him sliding the back end, stepping out as he makes his way towards the final two corners then. As he makes his way towards the line to start his first flyer lap there. Let's see how it takes him. Sadie is still in the pit lane, whereas everybody is out there on their outlap, ready to start their flyer lap. A nice rotation as turn 1. Looks like the car is really settling in as we go into turn number 3. Good grip there. Looks like the front end of the car is really responding to the inputs he's taken as we make our way now into turn number 4. Let's see how much Kirby takes. Not a lot. He completely misses it, but avoids the barriers. As you can see there, the back end of the car is stepping out. No DRS on this occasion as it is intermediate conditions then. Another braking zone heading up as we make our way down into turn 7, I believe. Hitting the inside curb, using the outside curb. Decent traction there, no signs of wheel spin. Very difficult there, and this one right handed as well. Very difficult to pick up the great traction, especially in these wet conditions. Looks like he's managed it just fine as the car then rotated. Back end of the car just stepping out, massive wheel spin, but thankfully it saves the car. It's the old Singapore Sling as it's known to be, or used to be. Not anymore as we ride into this curve. It's so close to the barriers as well. You want to be taking a lot of curb, but get as close to the wall as you possibly can, maximising the exit as well off the track. Coming out up here then, I think it's the Anderson Bridge. Nice exit there, no signs of wheels, but you can see him short shifted to help him break traction as we make our way then into this right hander, 14.0 in the middle sector. So decent middle sector for him. In fact, I don't know what a decent middle sector is in these wet conditions. It is the first lap as well, but tyres will improve. And we've got a yellow flag, I think. Oh, you can see there, Red's getting pushed off the curb there. He absolutely wheel spin on that curb. He just got beached on the curb and pushed him out of the track and almost at the wall. But yeah, I definitely lost a lot of time in that middle sector thanks to that. Coming into turn 20 and turn 21 there, taking a lot of curb and just being very patient with the throttle. You can see the back end of the car just wants to step out as he desperately wants to get on the throttle. As we make our way around the final corner then, it's going to be a 53.1 as our benchmark. And let's see if anybody can bring that deficit down. And the next man to cross the line is an Aston Martin. If we're going to go on board with him, I think that's Reservoir. Yeah, it is, as he makes his way towards the final two corners. We saw on his outlap, he was sliding all over the place, and he's about 1.4 seconds down on the best time. That's a Williams in the background about to cross the line. We'll have a look at him then as he makes his way towards the line. It's Joshua, but AJ then is the first man to get in the 52. Look at the Alfa Romeo in the background. That was Javu Visser who goes quickest with a 51.9. and he improves that lap time by 3/10 ahead of AJ then. But there's more time to be found from the Dutchman as he slid off the track there going in the final 2 corners. Ferg, however, in the Mercedes has invalidated that lap time. Duels in P5, Leo is in P4, Isak Kush at his home Grand Prix is in P2 for the Haas then, so good job there from the Singapore driver. Bompier puts his McLaren into P8 ahead of or behind his ILT teammate Renz in P7. But yeah, a lot of drivers are making mistakes on their first lap, as you expect. We've got the AlphaTauri, I think that's just Sieb, who's just crossed the line now to go P9 to Griff in P10. So ILT from P7 to P10. And Nathan has gone into second place and looking for redemption. Look at that, 8 thousandths off on Jeroen Visser's time. And that's how relatively close it is between those guys there. Nathan looking for sweet redemption. He's looking for that first victory in CRL as Walter, our championship leader, puts his Ferrari into P3 then. Look at that, a 51.9 between our 3 drivers, top 2 drivers, just separated under 300s. That is incredible, especially on this track and in these conditions for good measure as well. So that's unbelievable tight there between the top 3, nothing separated, barely anything separated. But as you're all aware, these tyres don't heat up majorly like the dry compound tyres. You could go for multiple lap times on these tyres as long as you got the fuel as well. And the ERS, of course, very easy to save ERS in these wet conditions, so you can go for multiple lap time on these inters, and that's what everybody's doing. You won't see this in dry compound tyres, you used to, but not anymore because of the ERS, and the tyre temperatures go skyrocketing as well. You suffer with understeer, oversteer, you name it, around any track. Probably not apart from Austria, but still you're low on the ERS because you complete the whole lap. But Walter, we saw he's a 10th up in the first sector purple, so a good improvement already from our Ferrari driver. However, his teammate AJ has dived into the pit lane, so he's not going for multiple lap times, is AJ. So is Joshua down in P17, and we've got about 70 drivers on the track. Walter, 5/10 up in his middle sector, so he is on a flying lap time, definitely improving as the track starts to rubber in. Drivers get more experience, more knowledge around this track, more confidence as well, as Ferg puts his Mercedes in P1 with a 51.8 then, so that's a fantastic lap time. He did see him invalidate his first lap time, and now he's put himself into P1. That could be beaten by AJ. And look at that, Nathan, 9/10 quicker. Has Walter got the pace in this final sector to respond? He needs about 4/10 more to respond in this final sector as we make our way now towards the final 2 corners. What's it going to be? He's going to beat Nathan's lap time. It's a 50.9. Wow, these lap times keep tumbling down as the drivers start to evolve into this track. It's incredible. You can see there is really low on the ERS, so I wonder if it's going to go for another lap. However, Jeroen Visser now in the Alfa Romeo, 3/10 up in that first sector, going for a 3rd time it looks like. Now he's making his way towards the middle sector, a 12.7, he's 7/10 up in his middle sector, so is that going to be enough, I wonder? No, it's not, only for P3. However, to Griff says he's got on the soft compound tyres, so wonder, evidently not drying up, but who knows, it could be drying up later in this session. These drivers just getting their early lap times in just in case they validate on the sauce. But that's interesting from Griff. Hopefully these conditions start drying up, because it really brings some action into this later part of qualifying where everybody's trying to get that 1 or 2 good laps in to put it on pole position. Here we are then, Jeroen Visser in the Alfa Romeo. You can see the back end just one step out. He's got into P1. Oh, 50.8 for the Alfa Romeo. And it's increased that margin ahead of Walter. Nathan looks like he has a better lap time on his 3rd lap, and he's down as well, so looks like he's not going for a lap time. Might be heading back in the pit lane, he sure is, as he's running low on fuel. However, Isak Kush has got into P4 with a 51.3 on his 3rd lap time. We've got Ferg making his way towards the line, just puts that Mercedes into P4 ahead of Isak Kush. Head Bompier in P6 for the McLaren. I think he's going to go for another lap time, it seems, and probably not because he's quite low on the ERS. Looks like he's backed out. His teammate Yoga is in P8. He did join late in this qualifying session, so needs to get some lap times under his belt. And who else is out there on the track? QRT Leroy in the Alpine in P14. Walter has just got quicker with a 50.6 then, 2/10 quicker than Jeroen Visser in P2. This is very close. The times keep tumbling down as the drivers start to get more experience around this wet track, as Leroy is in the pit lane. We'll see plenty of that as well. It's such a tight pit lane at Singapore. Evans Joshua is currently last on the board, but he is not on a lap time, 2 minutes. So yeah, he's just on an, I think he is on an out lap, is he? No, he's not on a lap. He's gone for a lap, but yeah, it looks like the timing may have been glitched there. We're about to see his first lap time, a 54.6. I think he's just improved too. He's going to go for another lap time then. Let's see what Joshua could do. No, that was his out lap. We're on his proper flying lap now. Is Joshua, so that was his out lap. And it looks like the track is drying up. I think Joshua might want to retreat back to the pit lane here, so doesn't waste too much time beyond the intermediates. That is very interesting. That's why Sir Griff is there. This is probably sat in the garage, not coming out, waiting for the dry tyres. So 6 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. The track will be drying out soon, shortly. It's like Malaysia, where this track could dry out very quickly due to the humid temperatures. Still wet in this part of the section. You can see the rain just spitting down in this part of sector 2. However, we just saw a reservoir then. I think he was on an out lap. Oh, I think it was somebody else. But I wonder if these drivers then will start heading back into the pit lane. The C puts his AlphaTauri in P6, but he needs to get back to the pit lane so he can get about at least 1 lap time in. He needs to push on his in lap, and we can see Mercedes cut out the pit lane. Is that Relentless Night in P11? Yes, it is. Walter raises the bar yet again, and he's got into the 49s. Wow, what a lap time from the Dutchman then. Keeps raising that bar with 4 laps on those tyres. More laps you do on these tyres, the better. But yeah, this could be very interesting then. Will anybody opt to switch onto the soft compound tyres? It looks like Griff has gone back in the Inters. It looks like it's still raining. Yeah, it's still raining. So it looks like at one part of the track it wasn't raining, but I think it's still Inters then. I don't think this track is drying up. And Walter's still going quicker. He's got 1/10 quicker in the first sector, but he is running low on the ERS. He just keeps pumping in those lap times. Does Walter. He's currently 1.2 seconds quicker than Nathan in P3, as Leo has put his Williams into P2. So he's found some pace in that Williams and gone P2. Good lap time from him. And it'll be nice to see the grid mixed up as well in these wet conditions. We've got some people out of place. I say Joshua down in P20. What's he doing in the Williams? He's coming towards the end of the first sector. So it looks like Joshua then hasn't been able to complete a good lap time in P1. Pyro's got P2 with a 50.2. And Joshua 7/10 quicker in the first set. He desperately needs a good lap time. Remember, we saw him leading the Canadian Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. But it looks like he struggled later on in the Canadian Grand Prix. I think he finished on the podium in P3. I'm not quite sure. But it was a good drive from him. Unfortunately, looks like the car was just all over the place. He just couldn't find the grip whatsoever to keep Walter and Nathan behind him. But hopefully he gets a good lap time in. Let's see what he can do. We know he's capable in the wet conditions, as we saw 2 weeks ago when he took the lead off Strauss. Strauss led the race for about 3-4 laps, but it was nice to see him lead a race. And Joshua coming towards the end of the middle sector. It's a 12.9, and it's apparently purple in the middle sector, but I don't think that's true. I think it's just his overall best lap time. Got a McLaren right behind him. I wonder if that's Bakke Yoga or maybe, well, they're both McLarens close together anyway, so it could be either of them. But anyways, on board now with Joshua. It's about to make his way then towards turn 21. Oh, we can see their wheel spin there. Coming towards turn 21 now. That was turn 20, we just entered turn 21. Now T22 and T23. Let's see how he takes these final 2 corners. Can he get a good lap time on the board? And the answer is yes, finally. Both Williams occupying the second row of the grid. Leo and Joshua then P3 and P4. I'm happy that Joshua finally got a lap on the board. Looks like he was struggling for a few laps there, but hot and mask moment, but he's finally lifted himself off last place. Steinley's retired. That's De Griffiths retired. Steinley is on his out lap. Main competitive, Jeroen Visser, Nathan. Let's have a look at what they're doing. Jeroen Visser's coming towards turn number 5, but that doesn't look like a doesn't look like he's on a lap time. Maybe was, but made a mistake in that corner. Nathan, 9/10 up then. Let's keep an eye on him. Where would this place him? About P2 if he can keep it up. If he finds more time in this last sector, needs to find about 4 more tenths in this final sector to try and dethrone Walter in P1. Bakayoko then gone P6 in the McLaren ahead of Javoon Vizza. Leo's still there on the second row in P3. AJ, Nathan's brother, is P4. I wonder where he is on the track. I think he's in the first sector. And 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go on the clock. Walter is coming out for final few laps of this qualifying session. Can Nathan take pole? It's P2. It's a 49.9 and it's a few hundreds away from Walter's lap time in P1 then. So Nathan then got 2 more laps to try and take pole position away, and Pyro's retired from this session. So that's it from him. But he's gone P3 as well. So good job from him in the Alpine. Pyro hasn't had the best this season. I don't think he's got points. Yeah, he has got points. I think it was the last race he scored points. But yeah, desperate needs some good results. Does Pyro? QRT Leroy has gone into P6 as well for Alpine. So look at Alpine are both in decent positions to start the race. Javoon Vizza, where is he? He's currently coming towards turn number 17 and 18. But Isaac Kush at his home Grand Prix has just taken pole position away from Relentless Walter then. 1 more lap time on the board for Isaac Kush to try and extend his margin over Walter then. So this could be very, very interesting indeed. Walter on a brand new set of the intermediates then. Can he find any more lap time? Got Relentless Light in the middle sector with 4 tenths up. In fact, we'll go on board with Walter. There he is then, coming towards turn number 21. There's 23 quarters around this track. Ferg has got P4, but can Walter try and take pole position away from Relentless Nathan or Isaac Kush? No, he can't. I don't think that was his proper flying lap either. I think that was an out lap. I think this is Walter's last lap. I think it is then. So can Walter on his final lap, last lap, try and take pole position away from Isaac Kush? Nathan, however, he is 2 tenths up in his middle sector. Can he find any more time in his final sector? Can he keep it nice and tidy? Can he take pole positions away from Isaac Kush as he makes his way towards the line now? It is pole with a 49.2 by 6 tenths ahead of Isaac Kush. That's the Haasman behind him. That's not Isaac Kush, that's Steiny, who's gone into P10. But Isaac Kush is finding 5 tenths in the middle sector. I wonder if he can find any more time. Where's Walter? Is he in the first sector? 2 tenths up in the first sector. So Isa and Walter are good lap times then. Can they try and take pole position away from Nathan? But Isaac Kush needs to keep it nice and tidy. He's already got 5 tenths up in this middle sector. Can he find a little bit more? Try and secure his pole position then. His first pole of the season then, as he makes his way towards turn number 22 and turn number 23. Can he keep it nice and tidy in 5th gear? Here we go then. It's going to be pole position with a 48.7, 5 tenths clear of Relentless Nathan, CRO Nathan. And Nathan, however, is not finding time. He's backed off on that lap time. But Walter, however, is 6 tenths up in his middle sector. Walsey has got into P5 ahead of Reservoir by about a few hundreds in it between the two. Javoon Vizza has gone P2 with a 49.2, a few hundreds clear, 700 clear of Nathan. AJ gone P4. The main man we're watching for is Walter. I think he's got the best chances of taking a pole position away from Isaac Kush. He's going to be at 48.7 then as he makes his way towards turn 22 and turn 23. Can he take pole away? And it's no, it's P2 at best for Walter. Isaac Kush is on pole position for Haas at the Singapore Grand Prix, at his home Grand Prix, then ahead of Walter. Javoon in P3. What a superb effort there from Ferg to take P4. And Nathan in P5. I wonder if he's got the pace to respond back in the race. AJ has just been beaten by Bakayoko, who's just crossed the line to go P6 ahead of AJ. Walsey in P8 ahead of Reservoir. Pyro P10. Bompier has just been demoted down into P12. Steiny's just gone into P11. And Reservoir has just gone P8 with a 50.1. And that is qualifying and done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. We're on to the race for the 33 lap race, or is it 31? I can't remember, but we're about to find out. I think it's 31 lap race. Evans Joshua, however, got put down into P17. He was in the top 10 briefly, but these times kept tumbling down. And we're just waiting, I think, for Nathan to retire in the pit lane, and we can go for the race. I'll be back shortly. Right then, so Isak Kush, Walter, Ferg and Evans Joshua then on the medium compound tyres. Giroud Visser on the hard, surrounded by the mediums. Let's see what the best strategy is then, as all the drivers then manually make their way towards the grid. And there is De Grift and the last of them coming towards turn number 20. Could be a very interesting start. Can Isak Kush try and keep his lead, or will Walter try and go down the inside to turn number 1? Ferg will have the advantage off the start to try and get Giroud Visser. We'll see what Nathan can do, and Bakke Yoga as well. It's going to be a very interesting race between the top 6, and AJ's were there as well for good measure. It's going to be a good race. Can't wait to see how it all pans out. Sieb and De Griff have been disqualified, unfortunately for them. But here we go then. There are the lights. 5 lights. And we are underway for round 7 of the Singapore Grand Prix. Walter's got a lovely launch off the line. He takes the lead of the race ahead of Isak Kush. And Giroud the visitor looking for a move on Isak Kush. But there goes Ferg down the inside of those medium compound tyres. As you expect, overtaking the Alfa Romeo driver. Is Giroud going to keep the position? No, he's going to have to yield. Unless he goes back down the inside, which you do. And they're going side by side. Now, oh, it spins! Giroud Visser has spun! It's probably like a Nico Hulkenberg and Carlos Sainz situation there, where they both make contact. Just 2 into 1 does not go, unfortunately. And look at that, then Walter has been re-overtaken by Isak Kush. Isak Kush takes the lead off back of Walter. And Bakke Yoga then is looking for a move on Nathan. And so unfortunately there, Giroud Visser has been turned around. Not quite sure, because Giroud Visser looking to go down the inside, but did he just clip the inside curb, or did he get the sort of too early, or he actually did make contact with the Ferg there? But we've got Joshua, oh, bit of contact there between the two, and Joshua going to go down the inside, but whilst sticking around the outside, and Knight going to go back down the inside there, and close the door firmly on Joshua, and he takes P30 away then. So the top 3, all on the medium compound tyres then, and Nathan is the highest half runner in P4. As Joshua there, just kind of a bit too much speed under the Anderson Bridge. It'd be very good if Nathan could stick with the top 3 there. If you can try to stick with the top 3 and try and stay within their DRS, may pay dividends for him later in the race. As Giroud Visser then up into P5, it's just a redemption drive now for Giroud Visser into P15. He goes. Yeah, not the drive he would have wanted earlier on in this race. It's a shame for him, because last year's champion of CRL unfortunately hasn't picked up a race win this season, but I was hoping for a comeback drive for him in this race. And now Isak Kush then was beaten off the start by Walter, but found his rhythm and picked up first place yet again, going down into turn 7. As Isak Kush then sets the fastest lap of the race. It's going to be very difficult to try and break DRS. And Isak Kush there, did he tap the wall coming out of turn 5 there? You're going to bear with me, folks, I've got a sore throat. I'll try and do my best, but Isak Kush, yeah, did he tap the wall coming out of turn 5? Not quite sure if he did. Hopefully he got away with no damage. And you can see Nathan there obviously dropping back with the hard compound tyres with a 1.8 seconds. Got your Bakke Yoga to focus on, and Pyro there down to P6. I think Pyro 2 weeks ago finished in P7, I think, at the Canadian Grand Prix, and it was a good drive, and he scored his first points of the season. Can he score any more around here at the Marina Bay circuit? I've got Steiny, looks like he's very close to the back of the AlphaTauri of Waltzy there, going down under the Anderson Bridge. Oh, Steiny has spun! Oh, Steiny probably picked up a bit too much throttle there. Unfortunately has spun the car. He was in a good position down in P10, and now he is in P11. I said he was calling all over the back of Waltzy, but now left his teammate ILT Bumpia to try and overtake him, and he has to defend from ILT to Griff down in P19 there. Renz is currently the man in last place, unfortunately for him. Not quite sure what happened to him, but Joshua looking very close to the back towards Knight. These two had a scrap on the first lap, and now looks like they're back together again, with Giroud Visser all over the back of him. And Isak Kush has just set the fastest lap. However, Ferg in P3 has dipped outside the 1 second gap of DRS. So he can be very careful not to do that, try and get himself back towards the DRS range, and make sure he can pull himself along in that DRS train as the rest of these drivers start their lap 3, with the chance of DRS being enabled to boost their chances of overtaking. Most gain and most loss. Pyro gained 4 positions, and Leo gained 3. Giroud lost 11, we all know why that happened. And Steiny lost 7 because he spun coming out under the Anderson Bridge, turn 10 I think it was. But however then, DRS train has formed, and Reservoir, unfortunately for him, has picked himself up. He's 3-second penalty. Don't want to be doing that in the early stages of this race, otherwise he'll suffer massive consequences, and safety cars will not be helping as we'll be catapulting down the order. But unfortunately for the Giroud, he may have the pace, but one thing he doesn't have is clear air. There's a DRS train ahead of him. It's going to be very, very difficult for him to try to overtake these guys. He's crawling all over the back of Joshua. If any guys don't make this move into this corner here, it'll be Giroud Vizza, and doesn't go for this move on that occasion, has to wait even longer. But it looks like he's definitely got more cornering pace than the rest of these drivers, but unfortunately just can't seem to try and find any opportunity to overtake those guys. It's going to be a very long ride from P14 there, but let's see how many positions he can recover, try and claw his way back towards the field. It was a shame there, it was the highest Harvard, but let's see what he can do, as Walter continuously putting pressure there on Isak Kush. As we make our way now onto lap 4. The gap between Ferg and Walter now is 1.7 seconds, so he's definitely dropped out the DRS range of the Ferrari driver. He's just going to watch out for Nathan while these medium tyres are still in good shape and form. He's definitely drained a lot of ERS, unfortunately can't recover that, as Renz has retired in the pit lane, so he's called it a night, and unfortunately there he will not be taking part in this session. But Giroud Vizza is dropping down the order. And he is spun and lost his front wing in the same place as he did on lap 1, and it all just unfolds from there. Unfortunately there, his race is now completely ruined, and I don't think there's no safety car or virtual to try and ease the pain, and his race then is completely done and dusted unless a safety car comes out. Pyro's retired, and he might get what he wished for, and he's crashed at the Anderson Bridge. Pyro has crashed, Bakayoko has left, and will that be a safety car? Yes it is. I think it's a safety car, as the yellow flags are shown everywhere around the track, and it is a safety car. As you can see the black box there on the left hand side of the screen, the safety car has been deployed, and Pyro and Renzen have retired earlier on. You can always rely on Pyro to bring out a safety car. I'm only kidding, Pyro, if you're watching. But yeah, Pyro unfortunately there in P6 was in a good position there, and unfortunately has lost the rear end, I presume. It's very easy to crash there under the Anderson Bridge. Isak Kush has pitted, Walter has pitted, I think Fergie will, yes he will. Is that a bit too early for the medium runners, do you think? I'm not quite sure. Can the hards go to the end? I'm not quite sure on these tyre strategies anymore. I'm not quite sure how good or bad the tyre wear is, but we can see a lot of drivers then diving into the pits as Nathan then takes the lead of this race. And the unfortunate thing about the safety car is that these drivers have rejoined essentially at the back of the field, and they've got a lot of overtaking to do with guys on hard tyres that are 4 laps older, so it's going to be one hell of a race from there. And Nathan there will be leading this Grand Prix. Bakayoko has joined back. I'll be relieved to see that his AI hasn't pitted, because sometimes the AI does pit, and it puts you in places where you don't want to be. Remember the French Grand Prix? I think it was last season. I think it was Jeroen versus Rudy. Rudy left the session, or disconnected from the session. His AI went to the pit lane, and unfortunately there he could not win the race. I think it was his race to win. For sure he would have got a podium. I can't remember if he was going to win the race or not, but yeah, sometimes the AI doesn't make the right decisions, like Ferrari strategists, and looking for him, he's in P2 still. And Giroud Vizza's case, he's in P18, and I think the time was just reset because I can't seem to. I think Bakayoko's just dropped in. I think Bakayoko's just dropped into his car. That's why the timing screen's reset. And Giroud Vizza will have a second chance at this race now to see what he can regain from this race. He's on the medium compound tyres. We all know that we're making it to the end, so we're going to have to make one more pit stop. Back onto the old hard compound tyres. Remember, you only get one set of mediums and one set of hards. And now we're just waiting for Giroud Vizza to catch back up. But it's going to be an interesting race. How will Walter, Ferg, Isak Kush manage to make their way through the field? We'll find out in a few laps' time. I'll take a short break from here. Good evening to you all. Sorry about these short breaks, I've got a sore throat, so I'm using these safety cars as an opportunity to save my voice. But yeah, Nathan is leading the race. If you just joined us for CRL, Pyro has caught the safety car. Ferg, Walter and Issa Kush were leading the race. From the medium compound tyres, they've pitted for a brand new set of the hard compound tyres. They've rejoined at the P30, P14 and P15. So I wonder how quickly or how difficult it will be to make their way through the field. But I can't wait to see how the safety car restart. Oh, Leroy and Steve there, exchanging positions. Hello Topher, how you doing? Hope you're doing alright, mate. Unfortunately I'm on my lonesome tonight. I don't have Fandango or anybody with me tonight, so it's just me. But after a 1 week break from the Canadian Grand Prix, we've moved to the Asian part of the world, and it's the Singapore Grand Prix from North America. And obviously it was an eventful race. We had a wet qualifier session here in Singapore. It was a wet race back in Canada. Different leaders, Nathan and Supermug, made the wrong strategy calls, inevitably allowed Walter Joshua to pull away. But here we go, the safety car restart will be underway. And looks like I've got somebody in the party with me.
Aye, Jamie, I noticed you're on your own. Thought maybe you could do with hands in this long haul that is Singapore. It is a long race and a hard one to do yourself.
Yeah, so safety car restart then, and Nathan leads them away, and the Williams looks to go down the inside of Head Bobpier. Head Bobpier got caught napping, but he able to keep Leo right behind him. And have you got any advanced sessions, Scott? IT Stanley's got past to Griff. They're going side by side, going into turn number 5 now. And they're still going side by side. This is where Giroud spun. And look at that then. Look at see Stanley the back end stepping out. As you can see, the Haas teammate there, Issa Kush, getting through very quickly. Do you think Stanley's going to back out? He's got to back out. It's his teammate there. He's on a different strategy. And there comes Walter as well, going to make his way past. Issa Kush then fighting Stanley around the outside. And Stanley there still keeping the position. And Walter going down the inside. And here comes Issa Kush and Ferg as well. And look at that. Issa Kush go down the inside. And Leroy making his way through the field very quickly. And now he's got one car in between himself and Walter. But I wonder how. Oh, look at that. There's that Rufus in the background there making a move on the Haas. And the safety car restart is very interesting. Oh, I think somebody spun. And that is the Haas of Stanley for the second time in this race. Has gone for a spin. And Walter has got past Leroy as well. Very quickly indeed. Dispatched him very quickly. And now he's on the back of his own rifle. But here comes Issa Kush down the inside of Head Bobpier onto Griff. And to Griff Fields, and now Issa Kush is up into P9 then, so plenty of action on the safety car restart. And look at the Alfa Romeo Chivu trying to get past on those medium compound tyres. Walter is fighting the back of Head Bompier's retired. Oh, there's more contact as well as Head Bompier's car is in the middle of the road. That's the Aston Martin of Duval who's lost his full wing thanks to the crash of Head Bompier. Head Bompier's car has not ghosted. Has caused some people damage. Issa Kush has got damage on the Haas. Oh, it's a massive shame there for Issa Kush. And he's probably made contact with Head Bompier's stricken car as he crashed, where loads of drivers have crashed in the past before. I can't remember what the corner's called, I think it's turn 17. But unfortunately there, his chances of winning the Singapore Grand Prix now are slim due to the contact with Head Bompier. Head Bompier probably outbraked himself and has hit the barriers. And here comes Walter there with the use of the ERS and slipstream. And he gets past Knight relatively easy as well and moves himself up into P6 then. It's a shame there from Issa Kush. We saw Giroud Vizza fight him with the Red Bull to Griff. He gets past him for P9. And now I don't think Knight is going to make this hard for his teammate. They're both on different strategies and he lets him through. Berg has a good chance of a podium here in P7. He was in the top 3 at the beginning of the race. And he was fighting well to the start, but couldn't have the pace to keep up. But does he have the pace now on these hard compound tyres? And here comes Giroud Vizza following down the inside there, making a good move in turn 13. Better contact made from the 2 there. And Knight's pushed all the way on the outside, and he moves himself up into P8. Does the Dutchman of Giroud. You expect him to be very quick in the stage of the race on those medium compound tyres. Those 3 have done a fantastic job despite being in P13, P14 and P18. Those 3 have moved themselves up the grid quickly than I thought they would be. But anyway, Scott, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, I'm watching through the stream now. If you could send me a quick invite when you get a bit of lull, but a great start to my introduction to this race. Corner number 18, you were saying there, Bay is where GP mate his demise. Very surprised that wasn't the safety car, of course, straight onto the restart. DRS back on for this lap number 10, I do believe. Interesting race though so far. 3 retirements already. Level with Tier 2, one safety car, 3 retirements for the whole race. Showing the boys how to do it here, but plenty of action compared to what we have, I would say, so far, Jamie.
Yeah, indeed, and safety car definitely spicing things up, but I wonder, did Head Bob here, was he put under too much pressure there? Did he misjudge his braking zone? Did he get tapped to the back of Isak Kush? We don't know what happened there, but we'll find out if Head Bob here has the footage or Isak Kush. It's just a shame because that's what happens when you get caught up with midfield battles there, when you don't want to be. You want to make your way through the field as quickly as you can, but as carefully as you can. We've seen it plenty before in the past there, as Leo's putting pressure on Waltzy for P4. You can see Waltzy going a bit wide in these corners there. Now we're going under turn 14, the Anderson Bridge, turn 15 I think it is, or turn 16. Yeah, it's turn 13 actually. I've got the track map up. And Leo there, I'm not quite sure if he's getting massive wheel spin or it's just the game graphics there, but he's definitely putting pressure there on the AlphaTauri for P4, and he's currently making his way out of turn 14 there. And Walter is behind him as well, so Walter then is getting caught up in this DRS train. The gap between himself, Waltzy and AJ is about 3.8 seconds, so Walter's done a fantastic job to make his way through the field. Accident free as well. It's just a massive shame for Isak Kush there. It was Walter versus Isak for the win. If you remember what happened to start the race, look at Waltzy not getting the best of corner exits there. You can see there Leo all over the back of him, and he made contact with him as well, but he should make this very easy now with DRS and ERS. Now he's got past Jeroen. Jeroen, has he spun? No, he's sped in the pit lane. I'm always retired in the pits, so yeah, that's Jeroen Visser then, done and dusted for the night. I'm not quite sure why he's done that. Maybe he picked up some damage and caught it at night. But his sort of retirement now, he's currently down in P14. And Walter then all over the back of the AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri having DRS on the Williams and Leo. But we've seen the evident struggle as Waltzy's trying to make a move on the Williams. They're going side by side now. And Waltzy has to back out of that one because the door was shut. But Walter then is going to go down the inside. Oh, they both make contact. He puts Waltzy in the wall. Sorry, he puts Leo in the wall. And Waltzy there's been overtaken by Walter and Ferg. Ferg has been overtaken as well. Moves himself up into P5. And Waltzy's down into P6. But what a shame there for Leo, looking in a good position down in P10. But unfortunately they're in the wall. Walter outbroke himself and unfortunately has taken Leo into the wall and lost his end plate as well. So it's unfortunate there for the Williams driver.
Yeah, unfortunate for Leo, and he's been moved up from Tier 2, of course. I've been showing these guys he's got every right to be here. Just a little bit unfortunate there. Walter, like you say, going for a move, just going a little bit too deep, and it's one of these tracks, Jamie, where there isn't really an inch to give spare. It's sort of a one-line track in some corners, and that corner too just did not go into one.
Benefits of Ferg though, because if Walter made that move on both of them, Ferg will have 2 cars in between himself and Walter's, and there we are. Then Ferg is in the DRS range of Walter then, so he's a good chance to try and get Walter as well. I wonder, did Walter sustain any damage from the contact? I'm not quite sure if a car went off in the background at the last corner there, and I think it was Leo. He's not even at the final corner, he's in the pit lane now, so Leo then is in the pit lane to change that wing. And Waltzy's into P7. We've definitely seen him struggle at this race, did Waltzy. Did he sustain any damage? I wonder. But Ferg looking really good tonight in P5 on the back of Walter. We've got Waltzy has just been overtaken by Reservoir on those medium compound tyres. He's up into P6. He's of course up into P14, moving a spot ahead of Leo on those. Oh yeah, he's in the pit lane. And unfortunately, he could rejoin down in P16. That's a shame there for Leo. Got a feel for him. But the top 2 then, Bakayoglu and Nathan, the fight between those 2. I think Bakayoglu missed the Canadian Grand Prix. He was there for Austria. I think he could have taken the win for Austria, but no, I think it was the pre-season race that was actually Austrian Grand Prix. But yeah, missed a few races as Bakayoglu, but he is back now and he's putting pressure on Nathan. Nathan looking for a redemption drive after the Canadian Grand Prix. And I presume somebody gave you an invite. Yeah, sorry about that, Scott.
No, you're quite alright, keeping an eye on the action. I managed to ping Jeroen a little message there just to see if he can invite me when he retired, so we'll get in. I'll maybe keep you up to date maybe with the backfield action. But a brilliant race from what I've seen so far, Jamie. And definite kind of maybe what we expect from these guys here, especially around the tough, tricky track that we're showing is exactly how it should be done. A few penalties already though, Jamie, to know it is a tricky track to get them, but a few drivers already picking up some of those deadly penalties.
Yes, indeed, and I went slightly on board with Nathan. You can see how much he's underfueled the car. He's only about plus 0.15, so a lot of drivers then underfueling the car. It's very easy to say, but is Bakayoko about to make a move on Nathan into P1? No, he's not, and you can see he's crawling all over the back of Nathan then, and Nathan's been very careful not to fall into the pressure. And very easy to make a mistake around this. Ferg has overtaken Walter. He moves himself up into P4 then. So Ferg then up into P4 ahead of Walter, and Resify has caught up to these two on the medium compound tyres as well. So it's looking good for Ferg in P4. I wonder, are we about to see a victory or podium for Ferg? It's very nice to see the season 4 champion to claim his first victory since, I don't know, it's been there for quite a while, but very nice to see him win. Looks like Walter's struggling a bit there. He's fallen into the clutches of Resify.
Yeah, and Resify tight behind, of course. Tyre advantage for Resify. Ferg, am I right in saying that he not getting the podium last season when we raced around here? Am I mistaken that? Nathan getting past Baki Yoga there. While I was on with that, he's back into the lead now, Jamie.
Something, I don't know what happened between Bakayoko and Nathan. Looks like Bakayoko gave the position back towards Nathan. He was in the lead momentarily, like you said, then he pulled over to the side to allow Nathan through. So I wonder if he forced himself down the inside, made contact and allowed him through. Good sportsmanship there from Bakayoko, probably owned up to his own mistakes, but however, it's still Nathan that leading the Grand Prix, but Bakayoko's got a lot of pace in his McLaren and to keep up with the Red Bull. And he's putting immense pressure on Nathan, immaculate pressure that Nathan's got to deal with here from Yoga. It's very easy to make a mistake, like you said, and I wonder, can he sustain the pressure, try not make any mistakes as Leroy has overtaken to Griff. To Griff has spun at the final corner. Very easy to make a mistake there as well as Resify. I think Walter has got damage because he's 1.4 seconds behind Ferg, so that contact he made with Leo has cost him. Yeah, I think he has got damage. It's not evident, as you can see on the broadcast camera, but I think he has got damage. Yeah, he has, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, very minor invisible damage as Knight and Waitsy going side by side through the corner. We saw Bouter make the contact. Just enough room for the two of them to get there, and Waitsy getting the better traction on the exit. Almost coming together there under braking, but it is going to be that AlphaTauri going through on their Mercedes. Right further behind, battle ongoing between QRT Liam in the Alpine ahead of Steiny. Steiny having a spin there again, actually, by the looks of that. That's maybe reverse commentator's curse. He's now battling out with the Red Bull of Tigre.
Yeah, I did see a momentary. I did see a yellow flag there momentarily, but it's clear. I think it was Stanley, like you said. I did see a Haas stationary for a few seconds. I thought it was Isak Kush, but it was Stanley, and he's fallen into the hands of Tigriff. And Bakayoko then still putting immense pressure there on Nathan. Just chooses his moments when to overtake him. These guys will be better very soon on the medium compound tyres. So it's a very interesting situation we got here, because once these guys go on the medium compound tyres, they're going to be catching up towards the likes of Ferg, Walter. Walter should be an easy target. That's all I'm saying that because of damage. And who else? We've got Evans, Joshua P9 as well. Well, the guys who have pitted under the safety car. I wonder, it's going to be very interesting. Can Ferg manage to defend these two once they go on to the medium compound tyres? Same with AJ as well, down in P3. That's going to be very interesting to see how that all unfolds. But Ferg is looking very comfortable for a victory around here. I tell you what, I didn't expect on my cars tonight that Ferg would be a contender for the race win. I thought it'd be Jeroen Visser, Walter or Isak Kush, but those three have either retired, had problems in the race, or have got damage. And so Griff there in the pits, and Knight has overtaken Waltzy yet again as they continue their battle. P7 and P8 go side by side in the slow speed corners once again, as Knight has the outside line, better traction, swoops around the outside, and he claims P7 for good. Then is Waltzy able to respond back on the Canadian driver. I was at his home Grand Prix last week. I think he scored points. Yes, he did Knight. He scored points in his home Grand Prix. It was a good race for Knight there at Canada. Can he bring some good points home again if he stays like this?
Yeah, Knight last week, P6 for him, getting up 12 points for that Mercedes. Disappointing there, Jamie. I thought you were going to say it was a good night for Knight last week, but we'll maybe be able to keep that joke up the sleeves. But here comes Evans, Joshua.
I did think about it.
It was on the tip of your tongue, I could tell. Williams, Evans, Joshua joining these two for a little scrap. Of course, 4-lap newer hards. You should expect a little bit of tyre advantage here, but not too much. So it'll be good to watch this battle over the coming laps. Another thing to note as well, Recify on the mediums after starting on the hards, he's really going to struggle to take them to the end. So a timely safety car could be in the works for him, or we could see the red soft tyres make an appearance, like the main appearance on IRT T-Griff's car. Of course, 6-7 laps if you are lucky, the performance of those tyres.
Really got to think about strategy this year, because you only get one set of mediums and one set of hards. It's not like you can just dive to the pit lane whenever you want as well. And when it comes to laps like these, when you've already been in the pit lane once and now you're going to go in the pit lane again, but you don't know what. Oh! Back air yoga has crashed. He has outbroke himself going into turn number 7, I believe. And that was just a sudden crash there. I was not expecting it. It was just carrying too much speed going into turn number 8. And unfortunately, there has retired from the Singapore Grand Prix. And that pressure has just been relieved from Nathan's shoulders there, is able to relax for the time being, and the safety car has just been deployed. And I wonder, these guys could go on the medium compound tyres. Will Ferg be in a bit of trouble there, as the gap he would have had without the safety car, now he's going to defend these guys with the gap being brought all the way down.
It'll be key to watch it as well. The likes of Nathan, the likes of Jacob, Knight, Waitsy. What are the... Oh no, it's just a VSC. I was thinking it's a full course safety car. Yeah, that was my bad there, folks. I was thinking, are they going to come in, or are they going to keep going on the hards? Because the mediums...
Oh, it was a VSC, sorry.
Just a VSC. I thought it was an SC as well for a second, but I think I was looking on that white, that yellow speed trap mark, other than the actual safety car. But the mediums are about a half race length tyre. After that, they tremendously drop off a cliff, and the pace just completely disappears.
We're about to see then, in a few laps time, these boys pit in, and we'll see if they can bring that gap down towards Ferg. But yeah, it's going to be a big challenge for them if they're going to bring that gap down towards Ferg. They need a safety car this time being in a few laps time to be able to bring that gap down. But it's very nice to see Ferg up into P3 with a chance of winning this Grand Prix. I think he knows it as well. I don't think he anticipated it going into the Singapore Grand Prix. But yeah, it's going to be very nice to see Ferg on top once again. The CRO champion after fighting Duwell for 2 seasons and finally claimed the championship ahead of Duwell back in them good old days. And now Ferg then is on course for a win in Singapore.
Just a little bit of action down the pack there. Evans Joshua was battling out with Knight and Waitsy. He's now missing a front right end plate on the front of that Williams. Did skip on the chance to pit this lap, so he's opting to stick it out and obviously just hoping for a safety car of some sort to allow him that free pit stop, but he is losing time hand over foot to the cars in front of him without that end plate.
Yeah, explains why he's dropping off Waltz today, because those two were having a ding-dong battle between themselves. But like you said, Joshua's just dropping back. Gotta watch out for Leroy down in P9. And not much actually going on now. We're just waiting for the pit stops between Nathan and AJ. And Resify, I wonder how long he can go on those tyres for. 11 laps old, those medium compound tyres. Same with Isak Kush down in P12. He's just desperately hoping for a safety car to appear. And so is Walter as well, so he can change that front wing of his and try and regain something from this race. But yeah, it's just Ferg looking in a really good position. And now we'll just wait for those two as AJ's clawed his way back towards Nathan. So the gap, he was outside the 1 second range of DRS. I think it was 2 seconds between the two brothers, and now he's brought his way down to 7/10 then. So Nathan, pressure's not been relieved yet. He's got his brother to deal with. And further back in the distance, you can see there Ferg arriving on the scene very shortly. I think Resify's got some decent pace as well. He's not only 1.8 seconds behind Ferg, so still got some decent pace left in those medium compound tyres to keep up with the Mercedes. And I think Steiner's just gone for another spin in the same place twice in the last corner, and he's going to go in the pit lane as well. So I think he's had enough of those tyres and go on the medium compound tyres. Is that rain I see? Oh, yes it is.
I was just about to say that. There is the finest of droplets falling here in Singapore now. Rain is on the way for the final stint of this Grand Prix. This is certainly going to spice things up for us, Jamie.
Yeah, it is, and wow, it's going to be very interesting. That Starting's on the intermediate compound tyres. These hard runners are going to be struggling with those tyres, but Leo has just crashed out of this Grand Prix, and the safety car hasn't been deployed. Yes, it has. I can see the black box has been deployed.
Surely, if you're Nathan Jacob, that surely it's a gamble either way, but you've got to try the inters and just bank for the time race gets underway. It's going to be way. Surely it's got to be Jamie.
You remember 2 weeks ago when Nathan did pit? I think you got to pit now, because if he doesn't, that's another race victory out of his hands. But yeah, Nathan, AJ, I presume everybody will be in the pit lane then on the intermediate compound tyres. These guys have already had wet practice due to qualifying, so they should be familiar with these conditions. And into the pit lane comes everybody. And this completely wipes out Ferg's chance of winning the Grand Prix. I say completely, it hasn't really. He's just slimmed his chances because he was looking to take the lead once those two pitted and out of the way completely. And it'd be very hard to bring that gap down with about 12 laps to go, and hard to overtake as well. But thanks to the rain, thanks to staying out much longer as well, AJ and Nathan P1 and P2. This is a massive chance for Nathan. Dubois has picked up a drive-through penalty. This is a massive chance for Nathan to win this Grand Prix. He lost it in Canada due to a bad strategy call. This time he's got it right. This time track position is in his hands. It's very difficult to overtake here in Singapore. Can he finally get the race win? Had a lot of problems this season in terms of strategy calls and whatnot, but had a chance in Spain, and he underestimated how much ERS he had compared to others. And now look at him, he's in P1 with a chance of winning the Grand Prix. Let's see if he can do it. Ferg from P3 as well. Does he have a chance of winning his Grand Prix? How was his wet pace? I think his wet pace was quite good. He was in P4. He out-qualified Nathan, who was in P7 at the start of the Grand Prix. So Ferg, can he try and win this Grand Prix as well?
Ready as well, obviously pitting under that first safety car from the hards onto the mediums. Pretty good call that in comparison now when we see the rain. Obviously, if this rain hadn't come, he would have had to pit for most likely a set off to the end, but knowing that shorter sprint time was going to come in and going to get the best out of the tyres instead of going for soft or a harder. Well, I suppose to be fair it was maybe his only option, or continuing on, not pitting under the safety car. A nice strategy call from him, of course. 6-second penalty at this stage, maybe a little downer on that, but plenty of action still to go, plenty of penalties still to come. And when the rain starts falling here in Singapore, it doesn't have to fall down, so I think there could be some more drama in this Grand Prix in the last 13 or so laps here, Jamie.
Yeah, indeed. And this race might finish after 10 o'clock as well with the safety cars and now the rain slowing things down. Always a long race here at the Singapore Grand Prix due to the long distance on day one lap race as well. But can't wait for the Singapore Grand Prix this weekend. I mean, last time out, 2019, Sebastian Vettel won the Grand Prix at Ferrari as well, 1-2 as well. I can't wait to see that Grand Prix. Yeah, Scott McConey's just put in the comments chat that your mic is quite low, so can you turn it up a little bit?
I'll jump it up a little bit. Sorry, McConey. It's I normally get told I'm just a little bit too loud, a little bit too hyperactive, so good to somebody finally tell me to speak up and not quiet down for a change. Thank you very much for that, and congratulations to your result tonight as well, my friend. McConey had a stellar race in Tier 2.
Congratulations, McConey. Was it a wet race in Tier 2, or was that a qualifying?
It was intermediate qualifying until about 4 minutes to go when it suddenly became just dry enough for a set us off. So it was literally bankers on the intermediates and then a 1 lap shootout really on the softs. Are really trying to base it on who can get it out the latest. There was a massive queue coming out just in time to get a lap in. It was something you would see on an actual F1 weekend, everybody jockeying for position, trying to leave the gap and trying to make sure they got to the line in time. The race itself, only 3 DNFs and 1 safety car, so pure action all the way through. Highly one I'd recommend going watching back after you've watched this one here. Speaking of this one here though, Jamie, Do Will is on the wet.
Yeah, could the race intensify to wet conditions? Who knows? Might be another twist in this race, but 13 laps to go. Anything could happen. It's going to be very interesting.
I suppose in his case, P12, he's not got much else to lose. Yes, he's getting a solitary point where he is now, but he's only got 2 cars behind him. A gamble on the wets, if it's the right call, could see him jump a tremendous amount of positions and maybe bring the 2-time champion, if I am right in saying, back into contention for a solid result tonight. We've got a who's who of the history here of the league, of course. Nathan and Jacob up the top, Ferg and Do Well, your previous champions, Wouter, of course, a previous champion, and then you've got some old boys about like Steiny, like Knight, that have been here for a while. It really is a who's who's of CRL history tonight, and good to see some of these drivers back in the action. Shout out to you, Luca. I'm glad to see you still running. That was a wee heart to heart there, Jamie, sorry.
It's fine, mate. I've been here since I've been here for a while too.
Okay, getting on. I know I'm myself. This will be my 4th season.
My highlights are winning 50 races out of 16 in the Go-Cup. I lost 1 race and that was towards Mark. He beat me in the wet conditions.
Again, Mark. I think my highlight has got to be the season 4, where I only raced 3 races in Tier 4 and I had the 2nd most pole positions. That was an achievement, I must admit. And then, of course, beside that, getting into the commentary side of things, I've had some great nights, particularly in beside you. So, well, I can thank you for having me back in the comms box beside you, mate. I've really missed it from last season, I must admit.
I do too, to be honest with you. I was looking for a co-commons, but I was running out of time. But I'm so glad you jumped in. You always know that I create these parties so nobody else joins in, because you always know.
I did notice that whenever Jamie's on his own, he always starts a party just with me, just in case I'm about and able to join in.
And nobody joins as well, so it's well too.
Well, that's very true. You'll have had your time. I know I've been there. You get somebody accidentally joining a party, just asking you what you're doing, and you're shouting about a battle going down into turn 1. It's happened a few times, I think, over the years.
Pyro, of course, is the first safety car. We're on our 3rd safety car now, I believe it is it? Or 2nd, I can't remember now.
I think it's a second. We had one about lap 5, lap 6. And then one here, of course, we had a VSC around about lap 16, I do believe. So our 2nd full safety car, our 3rd safety car if you include the virtuals, of course. 2 cars on the wets. P11, CRL Do Well in the Aston Martin, and P14, Evans Joshua. He is also opting for the wet. Safety car going to be in this lap though, Jamie. A nice early call, not that we've seen in Tier 2, Tier 4, where the safety car was coming through the bay underneath the tunnel and decided it's time to come in, let's go racing. But I'll hand it back over to you for what is sure to be an eventful restart.
I'm sure Walter has fixed this for wings, so could we see a recovery drive from him down in P5? He's of course done in this race in P10, so plenty of positions for him to gain. For looking for a 2nd chance in this race, but it's all down to Nathan then. Can he keep these drivers behind? Has he got the wet pace to try and maintain that lead and try and win a race for the first time in CRL? It's going to be very interesting to see how he copes with the pressure now. He's got his brother right behind him in P2 as a Booth 1-2 with Ferg in P3 then, looking to win this race after looking before the safety car came out and the wet conditions in a comfortable place, in a higher place, but with the wet race it's all gone downhill. Well, not gone downhill, but not in his favour, let's just say. Nathan then makes his way towards the line. We've got 11 laps left at this Grand Prix. Leroy's fallen down as P9, so I wonder if he's made an error. But look at that Reservoir going down the inside of 3rd. They both make contact and they both spin. Well, one of them spins, and I think Reservoir is up into P3. But yeah, both have made contact. So fortunately there, Ferg has taken the most pain out of all of them. And look at Walter trying to go around the outside. Look at Reservoir going deep again. And that's allowed Walter to go up into P3 there. So benefiting Walter a lot. He's now up into P3 and now Reservoir down into P4. But yeah, that's unfortunate there for Ferg. I'm not quite sure what happened between those two.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Ferg down in P10. It really caused a bit of chaos as well further through the field, because of course they were going into turn 2 and there was a car going a little bit slow on the inside. This battle ongoing from Sieb down to pretty much the rest of the field. really tight as toenails, as the Mr. Danny Mac would say. It's that Kush making a move on Waitsy through into turn 1. Ferg now got a recovery drive from P10. He's had the pace in the dry. What can he do in the intermediate to wet conditions? Plenty of time for him to crawl back some positions. 10 laps to go here in Singapore.
Well, the top 3 that were leading this race, Knight, were Ferg, Walter and Isak Kush have all been in instance of their own, and looks like Walter's recovered beautifully up into P3. Looks like Nathan and AJ then still there out there battling for P1. 7/10 is the gap between them, but Walter closed that gap down. Look at Knight then all over the back of Reservoir. I wonder, has Reservoir sustained any damage from the contact with Ferg, because the lightning reaction of the safety car restart was side by side with Ferg, but they both ran out of space. Unfortunately came into contact with the tight twisty section, but now Walter up into P3, under a second now between those guys. As you can see, Knight then desperately looking for a way past, because it looks like Reservoir is diving to pit lane. There was going to be a slipstream train between these guys, and thankfully he's in the pit lane now to change that front wing. Don't want to be risking it out there, especially with a broken front wing in the wet conditions. And Knight is up into P4, but unfortunately for him, he's got a train behind him and a penalty as well. First man up is Sieb in P5. Sieb not really showing much in this race, but been very quiet as the Dutchman in the AlphaTauri, and now he's up into P5, and let's see what he can do from there. Got QRT all over behind him with Isak Kush as well, looking for a recovery drive. But yeah, the two Ferraris in P2 and P3, what is going to happen between those two? Because I know AJ swapped positions with Walter 2 weeks ago in Canada. Is he going to let him go again, or is he trying to go find Nathan? And if it doesn't work out for him, let Walter go later stages in the race, try to track Nathan later on. So Nathan's going to watch out for both Ferraris here. They might be working together, and I can see there Ferg gets a better exit than Walter. Looks like Ferg hasn't sustained any damage on the Mercedes. Breaks later, but goes off the track, but thankfully keeps out of the wall. As you can see there, goes deep again, but keeps Walter behind him, and he makes his way up into P8. Does Ferg.
Yeah, I was catching that. I was watching on board with that. A very, very, very lucky get out there. I'm amazed by them two not making contact, not getting into the wall. Do well having a torrid time, I think, having a spin. Touching back on the Ferrari battle, Jacob is AJ Wuhan, of course. I think he's going to be playing it for himself in these early stages unless it's obvious he isn't going to be in the fight. Nathan pulling out a 1.3 second gap already within the lap. I think, to be fair, Jacob, if he knows he hasn't got a chance at this win, he might look to let his teammate through. He has, of course, got a 6-second gap back to P4. He has got that cushion, so even if he doesn't have the pace to compete with these two, he's got a good chance of getting on the podium. Ferg getting past is at Kush. He's in to the pits. I'm assuming that must be another set of damage for our leading contender at the start of this Grand Prix.
All went downhill after head bump. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened between head bump here. He's gone on the wet tyres, so I think it's a scheduled pit stop for him. The rain must be getting heavier then, intensifying, and now he's on the wet tyres then to see himself on those tyres for the rest of this race. Will it benefit him? I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out then as he makes his way into P12 and got a lovely clear track as Reservoir has crossed the line to start his lap 23. But is anybody else out there going to make a pit stop? Are they going to risk it? I'm not quite sure. But we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you what, if it does continue like this, a man to watch out for is Evans Joshua. Currently in P11, but he's hanging on. He's only 1.3, 1.4, and he just made a little mistake there. Nothing to do with the tyres, more just driver error. Looked to brake a little bit late there at the end of the first sector. He is currently pretty much within touch within the rest of the cars on this grid in that train, of course, down from P4. And if they all have to pit for the wets, he will see himself in a very, very tasty position to make plenty of positions up and potentially go on for the race win here. One to watch as the rain keeps falling, and in fact he's slightly gaining through that second sector, just ever so slightly, so seems to be very much equal between the enters and the wets here as we see Waitsy go for a move on QRT Leroy just at turn 16 and 17. So plenty of battles still going on in the midfield and not much separating the two tyres here by the looks of things, Jamie.
Kept an eye on AJ and Walter as they made their way towards the final corner. The problem is though, if it intensifies even more, and it does benefit the wet tyres. We've got a battle in the midfield there. That's Evans Joshua. Oh, we almost lost it in the final corner, but we've got an Aston Martin who has lost it through turn 14, and that was Reservoir. But yeah, Joshua's on the back of the Inters now. If he does intensify even more, if Joshua's on the right tyres, he's able to catapult up the order and up the pecking order. But with the Ferrari and with the 2 Ferraris, I wonder one of them's going to have to stay out, or they can't risk a double stack because that's going to cost them too much time. So I think Walter's in a disadvantage there, because if AJ does decide to pit first, Walter's going to stay out for an extra lap. And yeah, it looks like AJ's struggling now on those intermediates, but Walter's sliding all over the show.
Yeah, 2 corners there, and both Ferraris going for a little bit of a skid through each of them. These conditions definitely deteriorating. This is definitely exactly. You've hit the nail on the head there, Jamie. These 2, no team orders now, because they're not battling for the team win. They'll be battling for first go at that pit stop, exactly like you've said, if it is continuing to wet conditions. Evans Joshua closing up from about 1.3 to just over half a second on the likes of Steiny and T-Griff in front of him. In fact, he's making head over tail sort of gains on these cars in front of him. The wets seeming to be the stronger tyre now. Recify picking up his third penalty as well.
Have a look at this then. You can see AJ sliding as Walter has taken second place away. That was coming for a while, because AJ was just sliding through the corners there, not able to pick up the throttle like Walter was. And now he's up into P2. Is Nathan going to make a pit stop? No, he's not. Walter? No, he's not. AJ? No, he's not. So these guys, these top 3, are not risking it whatsoever. But AJ was definitely struggling there. He just could not keep it on the road. He was just sliding all over the place. And now Walter has been released up into P2. And now on the chase for P1 is on between himself and Walter. These 2, Walter and Nathan, have been hunting each other down ever since the Spanish Grand Prix. Walter took the lead of Nathan, and let's see then, can he do it again in the Singapore Grand Prix, or is Nathan able to hold on this time and try to take the victory for the first time in CRL?
I wonder, because it is a mix, these guys not pitting. We had a very, very similar race, if I cast my mind back to season 5 around here in tier 2, where it started out on the dries, it went to rain, and it was borderline inters and wets, and it kept jockeying between the 2. One lap it was intermediate favoured, the next it rained a little bit heavier and it became wet, and then it dried out for 2 laps, but not enough to go in the dries. It stuck to the inters, and then the rain came in, and it kept going like that for about 3/4 of the race. And it was a brilliant race, I must admit, but as a driver in that race, it was pandemonium, because you were trying to think on the fly what was the best thing, not just for the lap you're on now, what is the future going to do. And maybe that's a telling sign. Maybe this rain is going to be heavy for now, but we're looking at a drying end to the race, or maybe nobody wants to pull the trigger first. You don't want to be the guy at first, second, third, with everything to lose, that pulls the trigger on the gun and goes for the wets, and it backfires on you, because you look silly if you don't pit. You look even sillier if you are the only one that pits. A few of the back markers though comment in. We've seen Steiny, we've seen Duwell make another pit stop. He's having a horrid time as Recify is out of this race at the end of sector 1, and that is a full course safety car, Jamie. He has went full on into the wall at the end of the first sector.
Yeah, so where are these guys? These guys have stopped on the track. Everybody stopped. What's going on here? Look, they're stopped. I don't know what's going on.
That to me looks like a Codemasters glitch. We've had a few drive-through penalties for speeding. I think the Deltas have messed up, and Wouter, like you say, is in the pits.
Wow, Walter then has pulled the trigger. Nathan has stayed out there. AJ has stayed out there. What about Relentless Knight? Oh, he missed the pit lane there, but he's gonna put that Mercedes in the pits. So he's pulled the trigger. His teammate, however, oh, he hasn't pulled the trigger. He has decided to call that Knight. Has Knight? I don't know why he's retired, because he was in a good position, and now he's out of the race.
I wonder. I'm just gonna have a little look, see what I can see in the race director. I've seen a number of penalties pop up there for drive-through. In fact, Knight and Seeb both getting a drive-through for apparent speeding under the safety car. Everybody stopped on track. That looks to be a Delta glitch, of course. The safety car comes out, the drivers have to adhere to a certain Delta, a certain percentile speed of the normal lap time, and if you're too fast or under that Delta, you get a drive-through penalty, and that looks to be what's happened for Knight and Seeb. Knight just deciding that by the time this safety car reforms, of course, you can't serve a drive through under safety car. By the time this safety car goes in, he's going to have to serve it, and there's not going to be enough time for another safety car to get him back in, just deciding that enough is enough. He's not going to race anymore. Down to 12 drivers here, of course, Jamie. Everybody gets a point at least.
Yeah, it's the benefit of that. But yeah, it's a shame there for Relentless Night and Seaboard Gamer, who did pick up those 5-second time that drive-through penalties under the safety car. That was quite a weird one because everybody just stopped on track.
Very, very straight. It's a first for me. I wonder if it is because the safety car came out and the drivers being so close to the end of the lap, the percentile just maybe take a little longer and just didn't quite compute in right. Little bit interesting on the pit stops there though, Jamie. Valter and Isaac Kush have both stopped for fresh intermediates. So no wet tyres for them. They're going to have the race through the pack. I'm assuming the front pack isn't going to pit. You're not going to want to give up wet conditions in Singapore, let alone wet Singapore. So Valter and Isaac Kush got battles on their hand to claim some good points finishing here. QRT Leroy, currently P11, pit for a set of wets. But it's going to be a very, very interesting 5 or 6 lap, maybe even less depending how long this safety car is out, showdown to the line.
I know this Singapore Grand Prix is hard for overtaking, but still it always puts on some good action. Wouters in the pit lane again. I wondered, did he want to go on the wet tyres, not the inters? Did he switch to the wrong tyres? And here we go then. He's in the pit lane to put on the wets, and I think that's his chance of winning is gone now. Do you concur?
The only chance he has of winning this Grand Prix is if it goes full monsoon wet, that the inters are so much slower than the wets. Of course, he's not going to lose much time in the grand scheme of things with the pit stop. It's going to reform itself behind the safety car. The only person on wets in front of him is Evans Joshua, so if it does go full monsoon season on us here and we get a full wet finish to the race, he might have that half a second lap advantage to try and make the moves. But it's Singapore. It's one thing to try a move, it's another thing to make a move. So he better be, for Wouter's sake, for Isaac's sake, Steiny could be in for a good result here. Leroy do well, and of course Evans Joshua. They better be doing the rain dance now, because it is a head flip or a tail flip here for what happens. Isaac picking up a 5-second penalty though for crossing the pit exit line.
Wow, intense, man. This could be interesting in the last laps. 3 safety cars has came out, and there's been different drivers who could have won this green GP as well. Ferg is back up into P3 despite coming into contact there. I can't remember who it was now, so much has happened in the race.
Recipe, the tyrant that caused the safety car. In fact, he's maybe returned the favour, letting Ferg spin but causing a safety car that's brought him back up into the mix. And Jamie, it's my first time commentating at a tier 1 race in just about half a season, maybe even slightly more, and it never fails to deliver in this division. What a grid we've got, and what an exciting few laps we've got ahead.
Waltzy's had an interesting race. He's been all over the place, has Waltzy. He's back up into P5 yet again, so been moving up and down like a yo-yo in positions there. And yeah, the rain has definitely got heavier yet again in the second phase, and we've got the 2 Aston Martins, well, the Aston Martin, the 2 Hasses are very far away as well, and Duval, who is in last place in P12, is just about catching up. So I think, who is the Haas driver? Is he a lap down?
The only car that's a lap down is Duval. We've got the Alpine at the back just coming through the second sector. That's QRT Leroy. T-Griff into the pits, as is Jacob Ferg Sieb. So the only man that's sticking to the inters is your race leader, CRL Nathan GB. Wow.
Look at the top.
Finish.
The top 3 is the same as last 2 weeks ago in Canadian Grand Prix. These 3 were fighting out for first place, and one of them had penalties, which was Joshua. Nathan and Wouter did not have penalties. Wouter did have penalties and Nathan didn't, so we had a chance of winning this Grand Prix. Nathan, has he made the wrong strategy call yet again? So for the second wet race in a row, has he made the bad strategy call again? He's going to be absolutely gutted. He's going to be clinging on to dear life on those intermediate intermediate tyres. Joshua, for the second week in a row, or second race in a row, has got a chance of winning a Grand Prix, like he did the Canadian Grand Prix. He's got a good, better position than he was 2 weeks ago. He's on better tyres in comparison to Nathan, but the problem is, Walter behind him is on 7 lap younger tyres. Not quite sure that makes a big difference on these tyres or not, but he's got a big tyre advantage in terms of different tyres. And Stanley's put up a 5 second time penalty for speed in the pit lane. But there's been so many twists and turns in this race. Joshua finds himself in P2. Can he win a race? Like, it'll be very interesting to see if he can for the first time in CRL. I can't wait to see what happens in about 4 laps time.
This could be the perfect redemption story from last, 2 weeks ago, last round, I suppose you could say. Of course, at this point in the last Grand Prix Canada, Valter was winning with a 3 second penalty. Evans Joshua was where he was now in second, just 2 seconds behind Valter. And Nathan sent a move into the final chicane, getting by him. But unfortunately, doing that move, they lost a little time to Valter, and it meant Valter won the race. Nathan in P2. Evans Joshua having to settle for a P3, and it's these three we find again at the top. Safety car in this lap, Jamie. 3 laps to the finish. Oh, this is nail-biting stuff. This is edge of the seat stuff. If you're watching here, you're about to see something that'll probably go down in the history of CRL as one of the most craziest finishes to a race I could ever imagine.
Oh yeah, let's see then. Is Nathan able to hold on to these tyres? Can he hold? He's going to have to defend like crazy. And obviously it's very hard to overtake in Singapore here. He just needs to clean exits. Oh, Joshua has got himself a 3 second time penalty. Oh yeah, I think that's a frustrated spin. But off we go then for the safety car restart. Nathan is leading the Grand Prix ahead of Walter. AJ in P3 with Ferg in P4. Isak Kush back up into P5. Gonna say respect to Isak Kush. But we've got a spin in AlphaTauri. That is Sieb who's gone for a spin down in P8. And off we go then. Is Nathan able to cling on? If he can cling on in these treacherous conditions on the wrong tyres, that'll be a hell of a drive. But it looks like he's struggling already going into turn 5. You can see that the back end of the car stepping out. And it's not helping him because he's just lost a second already towards Walter. And Walter's bringing that gap down. Despite everything Walter's gone through in this race, from wind damage. Oh, this is incredible. Can't believe the race we're having. And look at Walter, he's taking the lead off Nathan in P2. And that's the lead for you, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes AJ. Nathan should have pitted on that lap in hindsight, but when you're in front, you don't know what to do because you've got a lot to lose when you're in front. Here comes Ferg. And yeah, Nathan's just a sitting duck wherever he goes now on those inters. And here comes Isak Kush. No, he doesn't. Nathan brakes later, but he goes off. It's the barriers. He's crashed. And he's out of the Grand Prix. Yeah, that's it for Nathan, I'm afraid. His story has ended there in Singapore. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's tragic.
That is literal heartbreak brought to you live on air. I thought maybe for a second Evans Joshua having that spin, and of course that slowed down the pack behind, gave Nathan a 3 second lead. It didn't even take a sector for Valter to clam that lead in, and he is now 1.8 seconds clear of his teammate. Ferrari showing strong like they've done a few times around here. Yellow flags further back. That is an AlphaTauri, it seems, of Sieb going a little bit deep into the wall. Not sure if we'll see any damage on that AlphaTauri, but Valter 2 seconds clear now at the front. Ferg on for a podium. Isak Kush in with a chance, of course, penalties to play, and AJ Wuhan, the 2 Ferraris, sitting pretty neatly at the top. But heartache hotel, as the famous saying goes, for a certain Mr. CRL Nathan JB17.
Oh, multiple chances this season to win a race, but he's just come away with strategies like that. It was the Canadian Grand Prix where Supermug and Nathan did not pit, but Nathan blasted through the field and had a chance to win him, but all unfolded the last 2 corners when him and Joshua come into contact. This time around, Joshua picked himself up a 3 second time penalty and unfortunately spun at the exit of turn 21. And that was his chance to win and gone. So both of those 2 had chances of winning the race, and it's just a shame for both of them. And Walter, despite everything that's happened, somehow is in P1 again. I don't know how he just comes through. Like he was like had no chance of winning the race earlier on. Look at him now, he's in P1 again. It's unbelievable how things could just change like that.
Anything can happen in motorsport, and he's a champion for a reason. Wouter, a very, very steady and quick driver indeed. Jacob P2 at the moment, but he has got relentless Ferg, who is relentlessly tailing him in that Mercedes. Isaac Kush very close behind as well, so he's got just over a lap to try and defend that P2 and make that Ferrari as wide as he can. 11 cars still in the Singaporean Grand Prix. And what a race it has been. Just looking at the left hand side of your screen, folks, look at the amalgamation of tyres of the retired cars. That tells you a story and a half. Mediums, hards, intermediates and wets have retired from this race. It has been one of every condition you can imagine, and even on the wet tyres here I'm seeing a few cars squirm and struggle. Jamie, these are torrential conditions.
Yeah, it is indeed, and look at Waltzy in P6, and he could find himself in P4. He's got some good pace as well. No, I looked at the wrong timing there. He's in P6, and he's got Griff ahead of him. He could find himself in P5, and despite what he's got to do as well with contact as well, and him struggling with front wind damage, he's all over the back of Griff, so he could find himself up the order. Steve, however, gone for a spin. He's still in P7, so both AlphaTauri will be scoring some good points here, and no, they can't because Steve's been disqualified for a drive-through penalty. Ignoring the drive-through penalty, sorry.
I wonder as well, though, it has been a semi-known HUD glitch where you sometimes don't get notifications of penalties and warnings, and whether that's been a thing or whether it just flashed up with everybody getting penalties, and well, him and Knight, I suppose, not quite everybody, but yeah, just a little slip of the mind has seen him go for the DSQ. Only 10 cars running now. Just to give you a running total then, out of the 4 Grand Prix we've seen this week, we've got yellow flags, and Isaac Kush is out on the final lap of the Singapore Grand Prix, going deep at the same corner we've seen Nathan retire. I was just about to give you a total of how many cars we've seen. We're down to 9 here in Tier 1. We only had 9 in Tier 4, 8 in Tier 3. Tier 2 leading the way with 17 runners. I think that's an extra pat on the back for every driver in that tier, but it really shows you the attrition that courses round this circuit. But, Jamie, we have our leader coming through the final sector, 3 seconds clear, and that man is relentless Wouter.
Yeah, Waltzy got past Griff, but Griff has made his way back past Waltzy, but Waltzy will get that place back due to penalties. Here comes Waltzy as he makes his way yet again, and he will win the Singapore Grand Prix to extend his championship lead as Duval's retired. AJ's in P2, Ferg in P3 to Griff, however, defending for his life against Waltzy, but that won't matter with the penalties anyway. And here he comes then. Waltzy, what a fantastic drive from him to finish in P5 with no penalties. And QRT Leroy's been very quiet, I didn't even notice in this race. He finished in P6. And who's that? That's Duval, who's just crashed down at turn number 17 or 18. See plenty of drivers crash there before. There's Evans Joshua and Steiny, despite everything that's happened to him. He's in P8 and he's spun about 4 times this race, and still he's up into P8, so good display of driving from him to keep it going. Never give up and see what he can gain. So 8 drivers then will finish this race. That is just incredible. We've had different people have a chance to win this race or lead the race, like Bakke, Yoga, Chiroon, Nathan, Isaac Kush,
Nathan, Jacob,
everybody.
Half the grid has had a chance at this.
Yeah, half the grid had a chance.
That's came out. Evans Joshua seems to letting Steiny through there. Maybe early call or maybe jump the gun. Steiny finishes in style. That is the man I know and love. Steiny, a good friend of mine, of course, taking a break from the racing league scene to have a bit of personal development, I suppose, working away and abroad. Glad to see him back. He's going to be my driver of the day. I'll be honest with you, Jamie. Maybe a little bias in there, but driver of the day. Secondary Waitsy P4 on his debut as a reserve. What a drive from him.
I don't know.
I'll let you take us through the stands.
I don't know. I think I'd give it to Walter. He just kept it nice, and despite that front wind damage and what's happened in his face, he kept it nice and clean. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'd just give it to Walter. I actually don't know because Ferg, he dropped down the order. Bellies are back up into P3. AJ, oh, I don't know. It's just too many people. Walsey, P4, did a fantastic job. Kept out of trouble, no penalties. Ferrari 1-2, which we won't see often, thanks to, yeah, Ferrari strategist.
I just want to jump in that, Jamie. Valtter's a lead and win very, very much preliminary. Remember that incident we see early on? This could see him drop through, so
oh yeah,
it could be a win for Jacob. It could be a podium for Waitsy on his debut.
Remember,
what a race this has been.
It was a Williams who. It was Leo.
It was Leo.
Yeah,
Leo in P14 finishing DNF.
If Leo decides to report Walter, I think he has the right to as well. Walter could essentially drop down the order. Yeah, so Walter best hope that Leo in P14 does not report him, and he has every right to do so. If you weren't with us earlier on, Walter tried to make, I don't think he tried to make a double overtake, he just outbroke himself trying to overtake the AlphaTauri, but ended up making contact with Williams, and Williams got put in the wall, Leo, and he was the victim of that. So if Leo does decide to report that, I think penalties will go towards Walter, looking from a steward's point of view. Do you think?
I think so. Only thing for Waitsy, he's 17 seconds off the lead, so it might see Valter slip into that P3. Fun little fact for you there, just 62 minutes and 58 seconds makes this the longest race of the week. Every one of them coming in just over the hour, except for Tier 2, which was just minorly under the hour, if I remind right. So a very, very long and grueling Grand Prix for our drivers. So a big shout out to all of them that finished, and especially our winners, Valter, AJ Luhan and Ferg, taking your podium here tonight. Only 8 finishers though, Jamie, really shows how tricky this Grand Prix is.
Yeah, it is, and I can't wait to see what happens this weekend as well, the Singapore Grand Prix. Many bets on Verstappen, but we'll never know what happened there either. But thank you, Scott, for joining in and keeping me company and taking me through this race as well, because it'd be very difficult to do it on my own. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, not as always, to see you.
Pleasure as always mine. Are we? I'm jumping in as a little side piece, you could say, tonight. Are you doing interviews or are you?
Mate, I'm going to bed.
No worries at all. I was just going to ask if you needed people added, but pleasure has been all mine, mate, coming in as a late edition. I seen you sitting on your own, and I thought I did it on Monday night, and thankfully I had my co-commentator of Mr. Liam Carrick, FRAE, Liam, 10-teen Liam. He's known by many names, but it would have been a grueling thing on your own with not a little bit of Sunday to fill the air while you take a break and a gulp of air and water. But thank you for having me.
No worries, and we'll see you all next time in the next Grand Prix. Can't wait to see what happens there. Walter, congratulations to him, Ferg and AJ for the podium, and Walter could extend his championship over Rudy. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Rudy, do you know?
Rudy has dropped down to reserve, funnily enough. I do know that for a fact. I think it's actually Waitsy has took his full-time seat. Waitsy, a full-time driver, not even in reserve. That was an incorrect statement of me. He's took the full-time seat opened up by Rudy. Not quite sure the reason. Of course, he was a contender earlier on, showing some good performances. I mean, know the pace. We've seen him before. Rudy, a quick driver, but Waitsy showing that those boots that were pretty big for him to fill, he is more than capable of doing so.
Well, I'll head off there. Hope you all have a good weekend and enjoy the Singapore Grand Prix. I'll see you all next Thursday. Goodbye.